nothing inspires folklore quite like castles. The romance of fairy tales meeting reality in a place of history that has seen centuries worth of stories gone by seems to be a magic that we have forgotten in the modern era. Despite all the time that has passed, some of these castles remain standing. The early Gothic structure in northern Prague of the Czech Republic, Houska Castle is one of the best preserved castles of the period. Built in the second half of the 13th century on the edge of a cliff, most likely under the orders of the Bohemian ruler Ottokar II, the Houska Castle was used as an administration centre from which the extensive royal estates could be managed. Some of the notable features the castle presents include a predominantly Gothic chapel, a green chamber that features some very interesting late Gothic artwork of the castle exterior, a forest, and people engaging in various activities, as well as boasting a knight's drawing room, used for what we would consider to be a living room or lounge in a modern context today. The later history of the castle documents that it was passed on to aristocracy, with ownership exchanging several times throughout its existence. The grounds of the castle's erection is just as interesting as the castle itself. Built in an area of forests, swamps, and mountains with no external fortifications and no source of water, except for a cistern to collect rainwater. Houska Castle had no kitchen, was a fair distance from known trade routes, and had no occupants at the time of its completion. From 1584 up until 1590, the building underwent Renaissance-style modifications. Into the 18th century, the castle ceased being a noble residence and fell into disrepair until it was renovated in 1823. Centuries later, in 1897, the castle was purchased by Princess Hohenlohe, a German princely dynasty established in 1450 from a branch of the State of the Holy Roman Empire. In 1924, the Houska Castle was bought by the president of Skoda, the car company, and as of 2021 is owned by his descendants. During World War II, the Wehrmacht Unified Armed Forces of Nazi Germany occupied the castle. It was well known that the Nazis had a specific interest in the paranormal and the occult, even going as far as to conduct experiments at the site. According to multiple sources, locals believed that the Nazis were using or trying to harness the powers from a large well-like hole inside the castle grounds. The chapel of Houska Castle was constructed over a large hole, popularly referred to as the gateway to hell. This bottomless pit is supposedly responsible for a number of animal-human-like hybrids allegedly seen crawling out of the hole, as well as dark-winged creatures who use the hole as a way into hell. The Houska Castle legend, passed down the generations, tells that all the prisoners who were sentenced to death were offered a pardon if they consented to be lowered by rope into the hole and then report back on whatever horrors they saw when they were down there. The story states that the first person lowered began to scream after only a few seconds, and when he was brought back up, he looked as though he had aged 30 years. His skin was wrinkled and his hair had turned white. The story goes that the prisoner had been so disturbed by what he had witnessed that he had to be sent to an insane asylum, where he died 2 days later from unknown causes. According to the Prague tourism site, the castle is a hotbed for numerous ghosts and unnamed creatures, ranging from a bullfrog-human hybrid, a headless horse, an old woman, and demonic beings from the bowels of hell who've ascended the hole. Local legends even go as far to say that the castle was never designed to be a residence or a sanctuary, but rather as a defense to contain the evil within the hole. Thus, by constructing the Gothic building's defensive walls facing inward, they were able to keep the demons trapped in the lower levels. The Houska Castle has been a tourist attraction since 1999 and has gained quite a reputation from ghost hunters and thrill seekers alike, with many saying that the castle is not for the faint of heart. There's many questions that remain unanswered about the true purpose of the castle. Its location makes little sense. It seems odd to build something of this magnitude without a kitchen, but probably most curious is why would a castle be constructed around a deep and well-sized hole that had no use for the collection of water? Thanks so much for joining me today. Let me know what you think of the Houska Castle. Also, if you have a subject, creature, or missing person you'd like me to cover, you can find my email and social media accounts in the description box below.